friends, welcome back. My name's Ramon. How are you today? So lately on social media, I feel like there's been a specific set of claims from a specific content creator. I feel like it's caused a lot of concern, a little bit of upset, and a lot of conversation on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube comments. I'm just gonna address that today, only because I feel like this creator kind of runs in similar circles to I do, and they've been mentioned in my comments here and there. It's someone I've checked out occasionally, and I've been very consistent in thinking we generally do run in the same circle of thought, but we are very different in our style of content, but also more importantly in our skin philosophy. So today we're gonna get into that. We're gonna debunk a little bit of general misconceptions around what they've said, / things I've kind of read as a result of that. And when we talk about that, we're gonna be doing a little hot takes and hot cakes, a little mukbang that I do on my channel where I eat a little something, AKA hot cakes, but today it's a salad, and discuss some opinions, some hot takes. Before we get into it, I'm gonna ask that you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and fancy related content on my channel. Give the video a thumbs up, and down below, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna throw names out there. I'm not about to throw someone under the bus. Y'all can talk about whatever you wanna talk about down below in the comments about said individual or individuals you might be thinking I'm talking about. That's not what I'm trying to do on this channel. I'm really trying to clarify a lot of things, kind of bring some misconceptions to light. But down below, do you have any other questions / what are your comments and opinions on this matter? Let me know. No hateful comments. God don't like ugly. So if you're wondering, this is a mixed green salad. There's watercress, there's spinach, there's rocket, which is I think arugula here in the UK, blueberries, raspberries, goat cheese, and balsamic. My boyfriend's guilting me into eating a little bit more healthy now just because we eat a lot of pork. So as you can see in the title of this video, it's called Why You Don't Need to Double Cleanse in the Morning and Why It's Important to Form Your Own Skincare Opinions. Mainly because that whole concept of double cleansing in the morning is what spurred this whole tumultuous situation on Twitter and in my Instagram DMs. I saw the specific creator post this whole video that was skincare mistakes that you are making in the morning. The way they worded this video was around the fact that it's a mistake that you are not double cleansing in the morning. Why? To wash off your water-based actives to prevent any potential photo irritation as a result of the sun coming in contact with those actives that could still be on your face. And I was like, there's at least 17 things wrong with that statement, that whole concept, this whole video. I posted a little bit of something on Instagram that was a little bit vague about it, and me and other creators talked about it, and a lot of us were like, oh yeah, we don't agree with that. I'm coming from someone as I have a science background. I'm in my cosmetic sciences program, and everything I'm learning right now and everything I've been taught is at the fundamental level between biology and chemistry. What are these chemicals? What are these ingredients are we putting in formulations? But more so importantly, how these react biologically within the skin, what's the function that they have when interacting with cells or other biological functions in the body, right? And so I'm just gonna go down this list of things I have on my computer and just kind of talk about why they're problematic and why I don't agree with them and what the real tea, in my opinion, as a formulator, as someone with a science background, some credibility behind that, my opinion is on that. So first and foremost, double cleansing in the morning, you don't gotta do. You don't, quite plainly speaking. I've constantly talked about how I don't cleanse period in the morning sometimes, most times. Oh, okay. Really olive oily. And here's the tea behind that. First and foremost, why you don't need to double cleanse in the morning. Cleansing in itself is very potentially stripping to the moisture barrier. When I think double cleansing, I don't necessarily come to the conclusion of, oh, just take a gentle cleanser and cleanse twice over. What comes to mind first and foremost as someone with oily skin is take my oil or balm cleanser, do that, emulsify that, wash that off, rinse it off, and then go in with a more lathery, foamy cleanser to get everything like cleansed on my skin, right? And that's what I do nighttime, especially for the summer. I don't recommend that for the morning. Go in with a nice gentle cleanser once in the morning if you have to, but also just rinsing your face off is sufficient enough for me, or especially for those I think who have really, really dry skin. You don't necessarily have to go and cleanse. Over cleansing compromises your moisture barrier. It starts to break down the lipid components in your barrier, and that leads to complications. And the irony behind this person saying you need to double cleanse in the morning is that they work in a situation around skin of color. And the whole thing behind a lot of their content, like mine, is trying to prevent irritation, which leads to inflammation, which leads to pigmentation, and we don't want that in this nation. So then why are you recommending people to double cleanse to potentially cause more irritation to their skin by compromising their barrier? It makes no sense. Second of all, them claiming that it's to get off water-based actives. They're water-based. First of all, they're absorbed into your skin. They're doing that work into your skin, hopefully by that point. Second of all, it's the fact that they're water-based. Just rinse it off with water. It's that simple. You don't need to go and oil cleanse to get water-based actives off your skin. Third of all, there's the point where like, well, you know, they're water-based. Maybe they can't break through the lipid barrier of the skin. A lot of times with water-based actives, for example, vitamin C is one that they talk about a lot in their content. They're oftentimes formulated in a capacity to be able to penetrate the skin barrier a lot more effectively. On top of that, especially when you use things that help bring ingredients like penetration enhancers or humectants that have to get into the skin, they pull a lot of things in with them. And so as a result of that, things are gonna get into your skin. Your water-based actives are still gonna get into your skin to do what they have to do. And then the fourth thing with this is that they're oftentimes claiming like, oh, I don't want these water-based actives on your skin, like exfoliants, or they always talk about retin A, vitamin A, due to the potential photosensitivity they're gonna put into your skin, they're gonna have on your skin. Two things with that is, first and foremost, a lot of those things are antioxidants. And a lot of times, the longer they've been on your skin, the efficacy goes down because they've done a lot of the work they need to do, but they still have antioxidant benefits even at low concentration. So retinol, vitamin C, niacinamide, those still have good benefits in the daytime paired in conjunction with sunscreen. And like the one thing is that they recommend sunscreen, but that's a whole different thing that I want to talk about too. Those are beneficial to your skin to prevent your skin from getting free radical damage, which can cause inflammation and irritation, which leads to pigmentation. But then the other half of that is the fact that if these things are on your face, like exfoliators, retinol, and they're saying that they don't want them on your skin because potential, if they're exposed to UV light, they can cause some irritation. They're going to sensitize your skin, period, whether you use them at night or in the morning. Like if you use retinol at night, you're going through retinization process. If you've used retinols, you know what that is, but your skin's irritated no matter what, day or night, if you use retinol. That's why it's important to use sunscreen and other anti-inflammatory ingredients. So that shit, it makes no sense. It's redundant. Use your actives, rinse your face off, do not double cleanse in the morning. If you find it's beneficial for you, that is great. But I think it's wrong for them to state that it's a mistake if you don't, and that it's a requirement for everyone to oil cleanse in the morning. No, I got estheticians on Twitter, I got dermatologists, I got other scientists in the field like me being like, no. Another claim that this person makes is avoiding AHAs and other actives for skin of color due to the result that these can cause, again, irritation, inflammation, pigmentation in this nation. We don't want that. Here's the tea. You can have brown, black skin and still use glycolic acid. I know there's this big fear that because it's the smallest molecule of an AHA, it penetrates more deeper and thus has a higher risk if used incorrectly, and we're gonna underline, bold, italicize, asterisk that part, to cause pigmentation related issues if they cause irritation if you're using it wrong. But you can do that with anything. Mandelic acid, polyhydroxy acids, granted the polyhydroxy has a much lower likelihood. But as exfoliators, as AHAs, the possibility does exist if you use it incorrectly to cause those issues. You can use glycolic acid, you can use retinol, you can use tretinoin if you want to. It's just a matter of using it properly for your skin, giving your skin time to really acclimate and adjust, and spacing the usage out enough so that you don't have the irritation issues, but also in conjunction, also using anti-inflammatory, skin-soothing ingredients to counteract those things. As I mentioned with my content, you know, I'm not black. I'm brown. And so oftentimes I do refer to other black creators and influencers to get either like application information, experience, or like ideologies. And you got a lot of black estheticians, and I'll put those down in the comments and in the description box just because they're like full of plethora of knowledge for skin of color. They're really, really insightful in what they practice and what they preach on social media. And I think they're really great resources if you are brown or black and you have certain skin concerns. But they're always like, no, like use glycolic acid, just use a low percentage or be careful on how you use it. The main concern, especially with glycolic acid, is that higher strength peels have the possibility, again, if used incorrectly. So just be careful. Now the big one, the big caveat. What my channel is mainly all about is sunscreen. And this person, first of all, the videos I watch for sunscreen, they leave much to be desired. But also there's a little bit still of I find an aged mentality around chemical versus physical sunscreens. This person is a medical professional, and I find that with that, there comes a certain ideology in dermatology. And I talked about this in my like skinfluencer video, which I think you should watch too, because it's a great video about, oh, let me eat some salad. I find that doctors, dermatologists, oftentimes, because they tend to see the worst case scenarios so frequently, they err on the side of being very cautious. They tend to recommend the most safe skincare products possible, free of the most common irritants possible, just because for most of the patients that they see a lot of reactivity to those things, when in reality, those patients actually really account for like single-digit percentages of all the users of said product, right? So this doctor goes on this whole thing about, well, I don't like chemical sunscreens, I prefer physical sunscreens. There's so much less potential for irritation, especially for skin of color. And they do recognize the fact that chemical and physical sunscreens work in pretty much the same exact way. They both absorb and convert heat back into thermal energy and release that. Physical sunscreens only reflect about like 5 to 10% of the light that comes in contact with them, right? But here's the deal. They go on this whole spiel about, if you don't know, if you're not familiar, UV light, there's two parts of the spectrum. There's UVB, which is what SPF protection measures, and then there's UVA. And that's where you really want to see broad spectrum or PA ratings on your sunscreen. But even with PA, there's two halves of that. There's UVA 2, which is the shorter wavelengths, and UVA 1, which is the longer wavelengths. But then you get into visible light on like this other spectrum. So with that, they're claiming that, well, like your main concern is UVB rays, because those are the ones that cause the burns, and those are really ones that cause the more topical effects and damage and skin of color. And UVA rays, like those are kind of concerning, but blah, 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 blah. My two things with that. UVA rays, UVA 1 specifically, penetrates a lot deeper into the skin. You do have a lot more effect as a result of that with certain kinds of pigmentation, dark spots, sunspots. Number two with that is that visible light, also, especially with deeper dark skin tones, has an effect in causing like inducing pigment related issues. And so my thing with that is that you still need to worry about those, but also the fact that they're talking about coming from like a science perspective and looking at different UV filters. Zinc oxide, as effective as it is, especially in higher percentages and formulations, to me doesn't make the cut. It is broad spectrum, but it comes to a certain point, especially in the UVA 1 part of the spectrum, where it's not as good. Whereas you have chemical filters, new age modern chemical filters, tenosorbs, uvenols, whatnot, mixorals, that are really, really effective and have really high photoprotective values, especially in that UVA 1 range. They're also very gentle, they're very safe, and this person's other thing is the fact that chemical sunscreens get into the bloodstream. With the more modern UV filters, that is a lot less of a possibility, a lot less of a likelihood. There's minimal to no research or studies found that proves that with those modern age filters. Also, they mentioned zinc oxide as being a really great anti-inflammatory ingredient and one of the safest filters, and like kind of, but then you have people like me who, if I use zinc oxide very consistently over like a prolonged period of time, I get the most dehydrated, irritated skin, especially right up in this area. There are people that also have zinc oxide sensitivities, and I'm not saying as a result of that, the zinc oxide is a bad ingredient. I'm just saying like, I do great with chemical sunscreens. I don't like zinc. Not only that, but you also have the element that there's a certain privilege to being able to say that I exclusively use mineral sunscreens and they work for me, when for brown, black skin, that's not the case. And I have a whole series about that, testing sunscreens that make these claims and proving a lot of them don't work the way they say they're going to, especially when worn in the appropriate amount, which is supposed to. And so you can't say, oh, I prefer mineral sunscreens. That's all I'm gonna recommend, when you're discounting a lot of people who will not wear sunscreens because it's gonna make them look purple, white, gray. Another thing this person claims, and I really just, I don't get the justification behind this, is the fact that antioxidants can break down in UV exposure and cause irritation in the skin, which leads to pigmentation related issues. I don't understand that. Watching a video of theirs, they happen to mention that vitamin C in high percentages has the potential to have these issues. And point being, just like where antioxidants are good. There are so many different sources of antioxidants in this world. Retinoids, they're an antioxidant, but also niacinamide, also vitamin E. Centella is a great one. Colloidal oat is another great antioxidant. And I don't have a lot of like necessarily like proof of this person saying all antioxidants are bad, but I don't think you should say that a certain antioxidant is bad and have a general ideology behind that without having other recommendations. So, I mean, if you're sensitive to vitamin C, you have a plethora of other options available to you. Just know antioxidants work amazing in the daytime, especially in conjunction with sunscreens, to protect your skin from environmental stressors, UV stress, free radical damage. But a lot of times they also help to fortify and potentially amplify the effects of your sunscreen as well, those photoprotective values in your sunscreen. Next point to talk about, like me, they also have this turn and learn mentality when it comes to skincare, where you take your skincare product, kind of ignore what goes on the front of it and look at the back of it to find out what exactly is in a formulation, to know potentially that product's gonna have ingredients that you like, that work for you, give you a certain benefit that you want. And something I'm actually gonna address eventually on my channel once I have enough of a, I think, videos topic to talk about, is the fact that you can't necessarily look at a formulation and ingredients list and see a specific ingredient and think it's gonna do its normal purpose in that specific formulation, for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, you don't know the exact concentration it's at in that formulation. You don't know, based off what else it's paired with in that formulation, its actual purpose overall, as well as the fact that there's a lot of other factors in the formulation, like the pH and the concentration, that affect overall what you might see out of that specific ingredient. Alpha hydroxy acids, a lot of times, if they're not at the correct concentration and pH, that's a big factor, they're not gonna give you exfoliating benefits, especially to the efficacy that you wanna see out of them. Another one is alcohol. And alcohol, a lot of times you see in formulations just because it's paired with things like sunscreen filters or other non-water soluble ingredients because it's a solvent. It's also used a lot of times to give you really nice, elegant formulas. It's also used as a penetration enhancer, and it's used to either act as or to boost the effects of preservatives in a formulation. People see alcohol and they're like, oh, that's bad. And especially for skin and color, people associate that with irritation and inflammation, but also factor in what else is in a formulation with it. A lot of time alcohol in sunscreens, for example, especially the Korean ones I like to use, are paired with really great anti-inflammatory, soothing ingredients, antioxidants, and other ingredients that are good for your skin and nourishing to your skin, like humectants, that counterbalance the negative effects of alcohol. So you can't just look at a formulation and see an ingredient and be like, that's bad. We went over that with Fenty Skin. Again, I will have a whole video kind of talking about ingredients, looking at a formulation, and how you can't necessarily judge a book by its cover, so stay tuned for that. And the last point I'm going to touch on with what this person says is just the fact that I think they go to all these extremes of recommending all these habits and practices and routines in order to avoid the potential likelihood of pigmentation and whatnot. And I feel like, again, it goes to a point where you start recommending things that are just overtly wrong. There's no actual backing or information to support those claims. Like, again, double cleansing in the morning to wash off water-based actives, like that makes no sense when you look at the grand scheme of things. So this leads me to my next point, which is basically always consider who it is you're watching, what they're saying, and you might like this person, like you might like my content. You might just like to watch me for the sake of watching me because I'm entertaining, I have charisma. But if you don't necessarily like what I have to say, or you don't necessarily agree with what I have to say, that's okay. I'm coming at this from a perspective of someone who studies formulation, who is studying why things go into a formulation, what ingredients do, not only with other ingredients in this product, but also on your skin, in your skin, to your skin. I look at other doctors, I look at other formulation people, I look at brands and what they're doing and what's like on the forefront, what's happening in skincare. Like that's my perspective of things, but I also want to tailor things back to skin of color to give you a very basic understanding of all the things that I know so that you can best build a routine that's suitable for your skin type, and your skin concerns. You got other people who have their own ideologies, who say a lot of things, and I think it's really important to consider, again, where it's coming from and what is backing things up. And I have like a little bullet points I'm talking about with this, but it's like, is this person pushing a false narrative with non-verified or unsubstantive facts? Is this person pushing a narrative of extremes, fear-mongering, and misinformation, all mainly uninformed or incorrect? And oftentimes, is it one-sided or kind of canceling out something else they've said too? Something else to think about, which is really important. Is this person pushing their own products or services? So again, it's fine to watch someone you like for the sake of just liking them, finding them entertaining, finding them cute to look at, but also think about where their information's coming from and how it best, like how it works for you, if it does work for you, if it's gonna benefit you at all, or if it's not specifically for your skin concerns and skin types. Follow who you want to follow, watch who you want to watch, enjoy the content you like to enjoy, but take into account that not everyone on the platform, on YouTube, on Instagram, necessarily know everything that's going to work for your skin. The information that we give off is kind of a very general, like subset of information that's kind of, at least in my opinion, what I do is tailored to as many people as possible, but find what works for you because not everything is going to work for you. Also, just often consider the credibility of some people. That's all I'm going to say on that. Thank you for listening to my rants. I've obviously been very pressed about this for a minute. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and Fenty related content on this channel. And down below in the comments, again, no hate, no negative energy. God does not like ugly. Leave this as an opportunity to voice your opinions down below. Let's have a little conversation, a little chit chat. Keep it PG because my parents like to read the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.